and welcome to the Nuclear Reactor, and today we'll be reacting to the history of Ranch. So, I'm kind of sad to see this series end, but let's get to it.
Thanks for clicking on this video. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon and turn on all notifications
What he said.
to keep up to date with the latest information and discussions. If you think having an extra Saiyan on the battlefield is going to make a certain problem go away, then, yeah, don't hold your breath. Hey guys, masakox here. Now for this slot in the What If Weekly schedule, I thought we'd go off on a little bit of a tangent somewhat. Still in the world of what-ifery on the masakox channel, but just not a specific part, but a particular special. You see, back in the early days of the What Ifs, there was a rule that I tended to follow, and in some cases still do, but I'm trying my best to avoid it. In order to make things not too complicated in terms of the lore and stuff that I hadn't really thought of yet, I kept the future Trunks timeline when he comes back in time to give the warning about the androids constant. So it's the same timeline that he's coming from. You know, multiverse theory and all that. I did make a couple of exceptions to this rule, but for the most part, in nearly every single What If that I did that bit, yeah, Trunks' future was still not that fun. At first, this was pretty much okay. But when we get to the Dragon Ball Super part of the What If Raditz timeline, and especially with Goku Black and stuff like that, it just gets a little bit, you know, feeling like it's a missed opportunity. Having this take place in the future brought to light to some people that, man, there's so many missed things here we could have done with Raditz or Ranch or something like that, now that we've got a bigger lore to play with, much so than we did in part 3. And I've got to be honest with you guys, after I made that part with Goku Black and Raditz and stuff like that, I was regretting my decision with just playing it safe in terms of future Trunks. So today, let's change that. Consider this video a sort of a retcon, as it were. But we need to get to the point where future Ranch is a thing first, so let's focus on that. And before we start, big shout out to Chancellor for giving me the idea to come up with this special of a What If, because his DeviantArt page contains a pretty cool Future Ranch Trunks comic with 1718.
Cool.
It's pretty brutal, as it were, but you really guys need to check it out and how quickly he's been developing his skills. I mean, really quickly. Go check it out. I'll leave a link in the description.
Okay, I'll definitely check that out. That looks cool.
Part 3 of the What If Raditz story. But we're throwing in a bit of history of Trunks here.
Sorry for the close-up of my ugly
There is
face.
no Trunks to come back to this timeline to warn about the androids.
Back up, Riley.
Things are going about pretty easily with Goku coming back, It means that all the training that's going on when Goku comes back, it's not as intense as it was before, but I get the feeling that Raditz would want to try and keep up with things and want to try and outdo his brother now that he knows the Super Saiyan ability. And also, I think it's down to this point because Raditz and Goku hadn't really got a chance to really make up for lost time. One of them was either past or stuff like that. It meant things didn't really get done and they really didn't get to know each other, so this is really the biggest opportunity they have. There's a lot more training going on than the original History of Trunks timeline, but that doesn't mean that Goku escapes the heart virus, and this thing still takes everyone by surprise, especially Gohan and Raditz. Raditz had to deal with the whole fact that his brother's life had ended again, and they couldn't bring him back with the Dragon Balls this time because there's that caveat that you can't wish people back that, you know, succumbed due to natural causes. Ranch, now about 18 months old in this time,
I still don't
isn't
understand
really
that
aware
part,
of Goku's
why that
passing, and
is.
neither is baby Trunks, but boy howdy, they will be aware of it soon enough, if you know what I mean. 6 months later, androids 17 and 18 are activated and begin their reign of terror upon planet Earth. They set about taking out the majority of the Z-Fighters, with Piccolo being the biggest casualty because, obviously, Kami's gone, no Dragon Balls, all that kind of stuff. Vegeta is also no match for the androids because he's barely been able to tap into the Super Saiyan power, so he has no ability to hold them off. And I only get the feeling that Raditz would only just be able to barely hold them off for the time being due to all the training that he did with Goku. The Raditz of old was a very cautious, cowardly individual, so he would take very much big measures to keep up a very careful attitude and therefore keep everybody safe and also knowing when to turn tail and run. He's not strong enough to defeat the androids, but he's strong enough to be able to at least keep the majority of people safe that are, you know, still around. In this case, that's Gohan, Chi-Chi, Bulma, Launch, Ranch, and Trunks. For the next few years, Raditz has to take the mantle of the world's strongest fighter who can try and put up some kind of challenge to androids 17 and 18. But really, it's still the androids who are in charge here. During this time, he is imploring everybody around him that actually has an opinion to make sure that Trunks and Ranch begin training as soon as they possibly can, because they are the Earth's last hope, that if something happens to him, somebody has to be able to defend the Earth. As far as he's concerned, as soon as they're able to walk and talk, that's when they start training for real. And that is something that Launch and Bulma are very much against. They're just toddlers, so why should they have to be able to train? Their bodies won't be able to take it. Unfortunately, Raditz doesn't get his wishes of training them when they're toddlers, but once they reach the ages of 7 and 8 respectively, that's when they can start training properly. With the help of Gohan, who is now about 17 or 18 years old, they set about training Trunks and Ranch to get them up to snuff. Or at least the best they can, due to the fact they're kids. In the middle of a training session out in the wasteland, hoping that the androids wouldn't be able to find them at all, because remember, the androids cannot sense energy, so they thought they were safe, but Launch takes the really foolish decision of actually taking a car and going out to the wasteland to check on what they're doing. And with 17 and 18 wanting to try and take them out, they are on the lookout for any possible clue. Before Launch realizes what happened, they are there and they are beginning their onslaught on the group. Raditz can sense that something's up, but before he can do anything about it, 18 calls out Launch, which sets her off into a panic and therefore a little bit of a sneezing fit, which sends her off into the blonde Launch form, which is very, very unfortunate, and decides to step up, even though she is no match. 17 shoots her through the heart, ending her life instantly. Raditz is
I don't
stunned.
like this version.
Usually, when somebody they know falls, or if there are too many civilian casualties, the thing that Raditz would do with the group is to make sure that they retreat safely, but not today. This is the woman that he loved, and she is now gone. Raditz goes ballistic. Despite Gohan's protests, Raditz powers up to the maximum power he could reach and immediately charges at Android 17. He is completely unaware of Android 18 being right there and being able to intercept him. This is exactly what 17 hoped for. You know, emotion, stuff like that, compassion. Yeah, Raditz is really toast. But before they actually snuff him, they do give Raditz credit. The coward actually stepped up for once. They do not hold back, and after a grueling few minutes, their job is done. Gohan tries to help, but Trunks and Ranch are right there. They are completely vulnerable. Gohan now has to take care of them, and he has to be the one to make sure that they get away safely. There's nothing they can do now. Gohan takes Trunks and Ranch back to Chi-Chi's house, and there they regroup. When she hears this news, she immediately offers Ranch a place at their house, because effectively, Ranch has been orphaned instantly. Trunks insists, though, that the safest place to be is with Bulma and him at Capsule Corp, where they have some kind of defenses. They're underground, so they can't be detected. It's much safer in West City. This sets off an argument between the two, but Gohan is the intermediary here, and he puts his foot down, saying that right now, the safest place for Ranch to be is with her aunt. And this is when Ranch has a delayed reaction to what just happened. She just witnessed her parents, bite the dust. And she just immediately breaks down. And everyone stops what they're doing, and they all embrace together, because that's all they can do right now. No more words are said, at least for now. We then have a bit of a time skip to age 780, when Ranch and Trunks are now in the early teens. They have still been able to keep up the training regime, but they haven't been able to make a dent on the androids. Gohan is their master, and despite Chi-Chi not wanting to get Ranch involved, because obviously what happened to Raditz, and that now he's gone, there's no hope, but Gohan now insists, after seeing much more carnage from 17 and 18, that Ranch and Trunks are the only thing that they've got going for them. They have to step up. This ends up in a complete spat, which effectively sees Ranch decamp to Capsule Corp with future Trunks, and Gohan effectively, disowning Chi-Chi. She's now just left off in the mountains on her own, with very little communication with the remainder of the family, except Ox King, for obvious reasons. Would Ranch actually make a difference? Would she be able to go Super Saiyan before Trunks? Well, you might think that, and despite the inclusion of a Saiyan tail, she and Trunks have not gone Super Saiyan. They're getting close, but no donut yet. The incident at Super World still takes place, and despite the extra pair of hands in Ranch, they're still not able to really do much against 17 and 18. In fact, Ranch is a little bit more of a liability, so it's a miracle that Gohan just lost one arm. Gohan has to split the remaining sensu beam between the two of them, which means that they're not able to fully recover. They can just about get out of there undetected, but they're gonna need some time to, rest up. Do the events of Pepper Town still occur, Masako? Well, yeah. This moment, though, gives birth to Super Saiyan in both of the kids. Trunks gets absolutely impertinent, and Gohan has to knock Trunks out. Raj, completely stunned, expects the same thing, but Gohan just says, don't even try. Just take care of Trunks. And he just flies off, with Raj just left there, completely abandoned. Raj is just left there processing, just tending to Trunks to make sure that he wakes up safely, and she's just left there, not sure what to do. But she then decides, I'm not going to listen to Gohan right now. He needs my help. But then she immediately senses something bad happen. And this is the moment when Trunks can sense this too and wakes up. Gohan falls to the XL dance technique, much like Raditz, and he curses himself for not being able to anticipate this. When the kids find Gohan in the rain, both of them are distraught. Together in a tornado of yellow energy, they both go Super Saiyan at the same time.
That was such a sad thing to see, though, with
rubble,
Trunks.
but turns completely to dust
Tore my
as they
heart open.
pound the ground in frustration. The sea of energy rising up into the air now turns into a dust bowl. It's a yellow, shining, angry dust bowl.
In other words, a
in
beacon.
the middle of a broken city. It's now up to them to try and save the world. No one is left to help them now. Raditz, Gohan, Mr. Piccolo, Goku, everyone's gone. It's just the two of them now. We then cut to 3 years later, with Trunks and Ranch helping Bulma out with preparations for the time machine. Bulma chooses Trunks to be the one to go back and give the message, but Trunks is reluctant to do so because he thinks that the past really doesn't need to get involved in this. They can take care of the androids themselves. Trunks being a petulant teenager. Ranch is irritated that she's not the one to go because she just wants to be able to see her parents one last time. It's pretty traumatic to see your parents bite the dust in front of you, so this is just the one thing that she wants. Just one thing. And she'll be able to get to see Uncle Goku for the first time. She doesn't remember a thing from her infancy about him and really wants to see what he was like. However, Bulma insists that Trunks be the one to go forward because, honestly, Ranch is the strongest of the two. Just by a little bit, but it's enough to be really the guarantor that Earth isn't going to crumble while Trunks is away. She still has her tail. She can still use the Grade 8 form, as a last resort, but Ranch doesn't want to do that. Because unfortunately, one of the things that Launch said was that Raditz could not train Ranch in a Great Ape form. Ranch is now regretting this because now she can't go into this form without losing control. It's completely useless to her now. But the last thing they need right now is even more destruction by a rampant monkey. The news then breaks that the androids are attacking a local city, and the pair of them immediately decide to drop the argument and go out and help, if they can. Trunks and Ranch go into a Super Saiyan form, and they're able to put up a better fight than Trunks could do on his own in Super Saiyan, but it's still not enough to overwhelm the two bots. Trunks and Ranch are on the back foot, with Trunks coming off worse,
This is
being knocked
depressing.
unconscious by a rampaging 18. 17 is about to finish him off, but Ranch comes in with Trunks' abandoned sword to try and do some kind of damage, because Trunks does love that sword, and really, it's a prop, a weapon, whatever. It's some kind of a distraction and they need it. It's just useful enough to send the boss flying away like a baseball, but it does split the sword in two at the same time. But this is just enough of a distraction for the androids.
Oh, that's
Wants to grab the
cool.
unconscious Trunks and get
That's
the heck out of
awesome.
there. And besides, 17 and 18 are now just bickering with one another, because remember, they are siblings. With Trunks now out of commission for the moment, Ranch then decides to volunteer to go back in time to give the message. But just as she's actually giving that message, Trunks wakes up and insists on doing what he was asked to do. Ranch is angry about Trunks' stubbornness, but at the same time, she is glad that he is still alive. A year later, the time machine is ready to go back to the past. With Trunks and Bulma ready to actually give the last checks, Ranch is nowhere to be seen. Bulma is really confused as to why that is. But Trunks just says, she's probably just blowing off some steam or angry or something like that. He flies up to the cockpit to open the lid to the capsule in the cockpit and is immediately stunned to find what is inside. Ranch is curled up in the corner like a ball and winks at Trunks, motioning to keep quiet. Not a word. Trunks then blushes, saying that there's only room for one person to comfortably sit in there. Ranch then chuckles and teases Trunks further, saying she doesn't mind getting a bit cozy with Trunks. Trunks is blushing profusely, with Bulma asking what on earth is taking him so long getting into the cockpit. Trunks then just goes, nothing, Mom. I'm just getting in. Okay, bye. He gets into the pilot seat and the two of them set off with Bulma completely unaware of what's going on. As they travel back in
But
time,
now they're leaving
Trunks plucks
Bulma
up the courage
vulnerable.
to question Ranch, saying she should really be back in the future because the Earth is defenseless right now. What made her decide to come back? But Ranch says, well, what good would it do with her being there? They can't do anything with both of them there. So she may as well come back with him. And besides, it's time travel. As far as they're aware of, they'll be back before they left. Trunks grumbles, saying, yeah, that's true, but the principal... But is immediately stopped in his tracks with Ranch kissing him. And, teenage boy, that's going to stop him. Ranch then thanks Trunks for playing along. Ranch doesn't need to interact with her parents. She just wants to see them one more time. After that, she'll be able to make peace and she'll be happy. And that's when we go into the main timeline of What If Raditz Turned Good and where we leave things for right now. So what do you guys think? Do you like this arrangement where both of them go back into the past? Do you think this is going to make a main difference to the timeline? Leave a comment below. Let's get this discussion going.
It's kind of a depressing thought, really.
For the next one, be sure to like and subscribe. Catch you later.
What do y'all think? I mean, that was kind of depressing to me, but at the same time, it was interesting. And I'm just sad that this whole series part of this What If is over, but we'll move on to the next one, I guess. I hope y'all enjoyed this reaction, and thank y'all for everything and all of the support. Ciao.